Why do we have repetitive dreams, and how can we deal with them? You may know that Jung argued that the dream is an attempt to balance out or to compensate for our conscious attitude, by which he meant I hold an idea or a belief about myself or the world or people in it, which is the conscious attitude, and each and every night I receive a series of commentaries in the form of dreams from the unconscious about these conscious attitudes. So the process really is I have an idea in consciousness. At night, the unconscious gives me a comment on that, and if I recall and record the dream and then interpret it the next day, I can change my conscious attitude. Because at their core, dreams are really messages suggesting changes in conscious attitude. Dreams don't tell us what to do. They give us a hint. They say, the way you think about things, the way you're dealing with things, I think you need to change that a little bit. And if we take the message of the dream, we can change the conscious attitude. If you want to know a bit more about the technical aspects of dream interpretation, you can listen to my podcast, or you can look on this YouTube channel at some of the lecture notes I presented to a group of students quite recently. What if we don't pay attention to that message from the unconscious? What if we just ignore the dreams and hence don't change our conscious attitude? Well, very often, if the conscious attitude is really quite critical to our individuation and our well-being, the unconscious will continue to give us a dream, often quite similar thematically or similar in the way it unfolds, in an attempt to resolve our conscious attitude issue. These are repetitive dreams. Now, many of us have had repetitive dreams, and they're just attempts by the unconscious to persistently give us a similar message saying, you need to change the way you think about that thing, or your attitude towards that other person isn't working out, so here's a dream for you. If we ignore the dream, so if we just go, oh, it was just a silly dream, I don't need to do anything about it, the unconscious will, in a very patient way, just give it to us again. So whenever we have repetitive dreams, it's a message from the unconscious that it is trying to draw our attention to something really quite important. And if we deal with it, the repetitive nature of the dreams will end. It's almost as if we deal with the dream and we interpret the dream, the unconscious says, okay, you get it. Don't worry, I'll leave you alone now. You've made the change. I'll go back to the dream studio and I'll give you an amazing dream tonight. It's going to be about something completely different. Many of the repetitive dreams can be identified if they have a thematically similar base. So, for example, if your repetitive dream is being chased through a building and you always wake up just before the bad person grabs you or the monster grabs you, you can have a repetitive dream in which you're in different buildings during the day, during at night, known buildings, unknown buildings, but you're running through a building. That's the first theme. And the second theme is that there's somebody or something chasing after you. That's the second theme. And then we know that the dream always has the same ending. You're never caught, but it's just so close that when you wake up you go, wow, he almost had me this time. Okay, so that's really what a repetitive dream, a very common repetitive dream would be. And I'm sure all of you have had a repetitive dream at some stage in your life. So how can we deal with these repetitive dreams? Well, the first thing is, make sure that when you wake up in the morning and you say, oh, I've had that dream again, write it down. Write it down in as much detail as you can. Don't edit it, don't censor it, just write it down as it happened. And then the next thing, during the day when you have some spare time and you open up your dream journal and you address yourself to the dream, you need to ask yourself, what am I thinking about? What's been going on for the past 2 or 3 days? Because the dream is probably going to be commenting on a recent conscious attitude. And once you know what the conscious attitude is, say I feel really angry towards that particular person at work, you then connect it to the dream. And if you listen to the message of the dream, listen to the idea that the dream has around the conscious attitude, and you make the conscious attitude change, often these dreams simply stop. That doesn't mean you're going to stop dreaming. It just means that you're not going to have the same repetitive dream. So the process is record the dream, look at your conscious attitude, make an interpretation of the dream that reflects on the conscious attitude, and the repetitive nature of this dream should cease. If you do have a dream and you're having some difficulty with interpreting it, look up your local Jungian analyst and try and book an appointment, or you can contact some analysts via email or on Skype and have them assist you in making the interpretation of the dream. Let me give you an example of a dream, and this is from an individual I work with who's given me permission to use his dream. And his dream goes as follows. I'm taking my final school exam. When I get to the exam room, I realize I'm late and the exam is halfway done. I sit down and cannot understand the language the exam questions are written in. I try to answer anyway, but find I have forgotten how to write. I look up and find that the exam is over and I haven't answered a single question. So that's the dream. And when this individual reported this dream to me, he said, I've had this dream for the past 2 or 3 months, and I've had it 4 or 5 times. Now I know that the dreamer started a new job after graduating from university around the time when the repetitive dreams began. And one of the things that is very, very apparent in this young man is that he has tremendous anxiety about being at work. His anxiety is around performance. He feels that he doesn't really know what he's doing and he doesn't feel very competent, even though he's qualified. He's a graduate, he's qualified, he went through a very rigorous selection process to get the job. He clearly can do the job. He doesn't feel so. So when we began to work with this dream and we connected it to the anxious attitude he has to work, he saw that the dream was trying to show him how the worst case scenario was being presented to him, which is his real fear. He really is scared that when he goes to work one day, he's going to be given a task, everyone is going to look at him, he's not going to be able to do it, and he's going to fail. When he connected the repetitive dream material to his conscious attitude, he said, you know, the change that I have to make is I have to change my anxiety because it is ill-founded, it doesn't bear any connection with my actual reality, and it relates to a very sort of anxious attitude I have about things in general. And we worked on this for a while, and he began to feel more relaxed at work and to recognize that he actually was very well qualified and actually very good at his job. And once he began to feel that, the repetitive dreams just stopped. It's almost as though the unconscious was saying, listen, you got this great job, you're doing really well, but you still have anxiety and there's no basis for it. How am I going to get you to change? And so what the unconscious did is it kept on giving him this repetitive dream. And when he made the connection, he made the interpretation, and he let it go, the repetitive dream stopped. Okay, so that's a Jungian approach to how one can deal with a repetitive dream. I hope you found it useful. If you do have repetitive dreams, just follow the ideas that I suggested, write them down, look at your conscious attitude over the past few days before the dream, make an interpretation, and hopefully the repetitive nature of the dream will cease. I'm going to be producing more of these short answer videos because I receive a lot of questions from my podcast that hopefully I can address in these short videos. If you are interested in knowing more about what I do, please subscribe to this channel, or you can go and look me up on the web. I'm at www.jungian.ca.